Good morning. Can you please tell us about yourself, your ancestral roots, and cultural heritage, and any legacy you may be carrying forward in your environmental work?
My name is Paulina Lopez, and I come from a country in South America, in Ecuador. But I've been here in Seattle for the past 20 something more years. And what, it's been giving me, I think, the love for what I do is my connection that I bring from Seattle, from Ecuador. The connections to the water, the connections to the rivers, the environment where I grew up, where for many years, where embedded into my family, and also for protections of it, as it was very important to us to grow up in an environment that will be reflecting good health and access to have fresh food, fresh, um, good health, and also bringing the parts of community, bringing it to a betterment. So I think I always remember my grandmother and my mother being nurturers of loving nature and caring for it, but also taking advantage of giving, no, bringing back to what we are receiving from them.
Thank you. What are you trying to achieve in your environmental work, and why is it important to you?
I think when I moved to the United States, it was for me an opportunity to come and learn how, as a very important country in the world, how they are doing, how they're dealing with human rights, with the protections of earth, and giving people human dignity. And it was quite shocking for me to see the inequities that exist, and how we in the South and in South America are seeing this country as, being so developed, and it was so different to be living here and see that there is so many injustices and so many discrepancies between poor and wealthy. And so with that, living in a neighborhood here for the past 20 something years in the South Seattle area, seeing these addition environmental injustices, I wanted to contribute to it by being a volunteer first in an organization that I found that it was doing the work to protect the river, which reminded me back home, right, as I mentioned before. And then being here with my language skills, realizing that there was majority Latinos in this neighborhood, and I wanted to bring this passion and that I was building it back home, but also bringing it to real life and here in the United States, and understanding with my community why are these differences and these injustices happening in this community. Seeing many people here in my community that look like me and yet didn't have access to what other neighborhoods had in Seattle. So I started volunteering, and then I see the amount of youth that existed. So it was for me important to start bringing the youth along the way, and understanding how to contribute to this community, to contribute to the betterment of the environment.
Thank you. Knowing that your work is important and challenging, how do you persist? What consistently keeps you going?
I think it's very hard work, because every day you find a new challenge living in a community with cumulative impacts of injustices and pollution and inequities. It does definitely drain you, and sometimes keeps you awake because you don't know how to respond the next day, and still be an organizer, and still be a mother, and still be a model for the next generation. But really what keeps me going is the smile of youth, and the thought that they will enjoy of a better environment, of what I have seen and I have witnessed, together with the wonderful people that I work with. And I think just the thought of them having better access to water, or breathing better air, to break those big asthma rates that we have, for example, or to break those big years of life expectancy difference that we have compared to the neighborhoods. So yeah, it's the youth, it's the new generation, it's my kids, and hopefully leaving them a better world and for their generations to come to be better.
Thanks. What have you learned about your leadership style since you started your career, and in what ways do you hope to grow?
It's being definitely a beautiful learning curve. As I said, I started as a volunteer and different things, meeting new people, meeting community members, but also now as the director of the organization, it has allowed me to have a lot of growth, but also it has allowed me to be a human leader, and I like bringing people to, most importantly, understand where they come from and what are their skills, their abilities, that we can continue growing together. And I'm sure that I still have a lot to learn, and I am hoping that, for everyone as a team, we are building an organization that is welcoming, that is learning how to break the status quo of many different bureaucracies and institutions, but how do we as community members, how we as stewards of this community, of this land, of these waters, are bringing these into the leadership too, and not just modeling into the usual organizations that didn't work in the past in the environmental work, but how to be embedding and bringing together all these work, policies, leadership, fundraising, all these things that involve into having an organization that is trying to do the work that needs to be done to bring health and equity.
Thank you. Final questions. What big dreams do you have, and what barriers keep you from achieving them? How would receiving the Catalyst Award help support you and your work?
I think many dreams community-wise. The barriers I see is, how sometimes it's coming down to fighting the systems, as I said, and not having access to what we deserve. And so a very specific goal will be, to pass better legislation that we can protect people from the injustices that happen here, and also bring more community-owned spaces to community. I think that's a great way to show the work that we have been doing for these past 20 years as an organization, welcoming spaces where we can create community cohesion, and we can really make community feel that they belong. So one of the things that have prevented us is the lack of land spaces availability here that would allow for that. But I think that's one of the dreams. We have a welcoming youth center that could support them into their training skills, into getting into the maritime industry, having access to trainings and better jobs. So I think these are one of the things that I have been looking into for this past year, and putting it as a goal to bring more of these reflected in the organization that we have done, and we have been. And it would be helpful with the award to get not the recognition for me, but for the work that we have been doing, and for everyone else that has been in partnership and collaboration and community, to bring the awareness of the needs that we have, and to bring move faster the way that we have been hoping to change this community, not change it for the sake of making it more expensive and making it inaccessible, but making it safer for bringing that justice and health equity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for the nomination, and I look forward to meeting many of you. Thanks for all you do, network.